Well, come on along and welcome in to Indiana Sports Beat. Jim Coyle with you as always. Thanks a lot for taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. We appreciate you taking Indiana Sports Beat along for the ride. Lots to talk about today in the headlines. Big news. Beer, wine sold at IU football games starting next year. We'll get into that. George Taliaferro Plaza at Memorial Stadium also. Clifton Moore heads to LaSalle. And our good friend Lily King, who was just on the show, she just received a great honor. She was named Honda Sports Award winner for swimming and diving. We've got a lot to get to. Hope you got a good start to your day going. If not, hopefully we can get it headed in that direction. On the program today, Matt Weaver from Peegs.com. We're going to talk about IU football, man, and there's a lot of news, a lot of new offers going out, but a lot of guys accepting that. We'll talk about Rayshawn Williams. He put out a video yesterday that was pretty cool. We'll talk about that with Matt. We're also going to talk to Jerry Meyer, the head national director of basketball recruiting for 247 Sports. We'll talk to him about college basketball recruiting. We've got a lot to talk about in that regard. Archie Miller made a lot of home visits over the last few days. There's a lot of offers going out. So we'll touch on all that. Make sure you hit us up on the text line, your thoughts, questions, comments, whatever that may be. 812-269-6367. Hit us up there. We're coming to you, of course, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Glad to be with you. Yesterday, I noticed there's going to be 3 new bowl games next year. Yeah, we don't have enough senseless bowl games that they could barely fill as it is. Let's add 3 more. One of the cool things, though, one of those will be played in Boston at Fenway Park. That will be between the ACC and the AAC. Not probably a great matchup there, but it's a pretty cool place and pretty cool venue. The other 2 are going to be played in Los Angeles and Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So that'd be a kind of cool landing spots for either of those. Interesting to see what that LA Bowl will be like. But we'll see how that turns out. But Lester Quinones, he's getting a visit from Archie Miller this week at his school. There's a lot of – man, you talk about busy. Those guys are busy. They made a in-home visit to 6'3", 5-star point guard Caleb Love of St. Louis. He already holds an IU offer, but they made a visit with him. Also, Archie has a scheduled visit today with 6'8" Matt Cross. He's a wing, a shooter who can knock down the three-pointer. They also scheduled a visit today to see point guard R.J. Davis from Stepinac, New York. So all kinds of stuff going on in that regard, man. They have a lot of offers. They already have the offers out to the in-state guys. Anthony Leal and Trey Galloway from Culver. So those 2 offers were already established. Now you got more offers going out as Indiana is trying to make some inroads in recruiting. As they're trying, these are all 2020 guys though, so they're looking towards next year right now. So I'm not sure that a lot more is going to happen on this class. If it does, it's probably going to be via the grad transfer market. I noticed yesterday that Lester Quinones, he had a little issue with where he went to school, where he had wanted to make his announcement on May 10th, and apparently there's some issue that they didn't want it, I guess. So he wrote a pretty scathing text, not scathing, I guess, but just complaining about it. And which, you know what, to me, that shows immaturity. You know, just move on. I don't know what the situation is there. I have no idea what was going on. I don't know why the school wouldn't have wanted it there, but there's obviously a reason why. So that says something to me. I don't know really what the deal is, but why make a big deal about it? Why drag that out into the light? Because to me, that's just an immature thing to do. And, you know, he's an 18-year-old kid, but don't these people have parents? Seriously? I mean, do they just give them free reign to do whatever the hell they want? I don't see the necessity in that. Whether he's being wronged or not, it's not a good look to bring all that attention to yourself or something like that. That's just my opinion on that. Yeah, I'm probably the get off my lawn guy on that, but I just don't think that was a necessary thing. There's nothing positive there. So, and he's got nothing but positives going on in his life right now. So why delve into that? Either, no matter what the story is. That's just my opinion on it. I just don't see any reason to make a big stink out of something, because now this issue has been created. He basically called them out. I don't know if there will be a response, but I'm assuming that there's a reason why that went down that way. Now, maybe there's no legitimate reason. I don't know. Again, so if somebody knows, hey, let us know. But
I think the reason is because he doesn't go to that high school anymore.
He doesn't what?
I don't think he goes to that high school anymore.
Well, he doesn't. What he went to an academy, didn't he?
Yeah. So I mean, I understand why the high school doesn't want.
Why he used to go there?
Yeah. I mean,
why would they not want the? It sounds like they're pissed off that he left. Then.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me.
I mean, which I think that's childish on their part.
Yeah.
But either way, I don't see the necessity on bringing that stuff to light. I just don't see the reason to make a big deal out of it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, just there's no reason to bring it public attention. Just move on and find someplace else to make your announcement, really.
Yeah, well, he's going to do what he's going to do. So it is what it is, man. But I just didn't see the reason for it. But George Taliaferro, that is a great thing. I failed to mention that yesterday, but they are renaming, I think it's the South End Zone. Got to get that pulled up. But George Taliaferro, the first African-American to play football in the Big Ten, I believe, much less at Indiana. But he was a pioneer, a great, great person. And I can't think of any better honor than that. I'm glad to see that that's happening. It's trying to get that pulled up real quick to see exactly what end that was. But I'm not finding it as quick, so I have to pull that back. I had it up and then it went away from me. But it's a very cool thing, a very cool honor. I think there's going to be a statue, so you can get a beer and look at the statue, which would be a pretty cool thing, right? What do people think about beer sales, man? Beer sales at IU football games. That is a big, big deal. IU becomes the 7th Big Ten school to do that. They made this announcement yesterday that when that release went out, I saw it, I think, right as soon as it was sent out. But starting next fall, man, you can buy beer and wine at IU football games. Will that help second half attendance? Will that help attendance? We'll certainly find out. But it's certainly a change that was coming. Society has changed. I know a lot of people are going to not like that. But I don't think it's going to be a big issue because, for one, I'm sure they're going to have it priced quite nicely. So you're not going to be getting these special deals on beer at the stadium. That I guarantee you. It will not be cheap.
Did they change the rules of the parking lot, of if you can drink in the parking lot or not? I think I heard that yesterday, but I didn't see it anywhere official.
Changed it in what way? That you could or could not?
I could not drink in the parking lot now.
Well, I didn't know that it was ever officially accepted because Indiana University is a dry campus.
True, very true.
So I don't know that it was ever officially allowed. I had a friend message me saying that, oh well, great, now they're gonna shut that down. I'm like, well, it was never. What do you mean shut it down? It was never an allowed thing to begin with. It was just something that they turned their head to. Now, he said that they will probably enforce that now, which, yeah, that's possible. But then now they're going to have to quadruple the security force to do that. And do you really want to piss off a fan base that you don't have right now? I don't think so. So they need to just leave it alone. Let it happen organically. Sell the beer. It's going to be priced high enough. People are not going to be going in there buying 10 beers unless you got just tons of money to spend. Because I guarantee you they're going to be $8 to $10 a piece, probably.
Yeah.
So that helps in and of itself. Number one. Number two, you're only limited to how many you can buy. Number three, they'll stop selling probably by the end of the third quarter. So it's not going to be a deal where, and I'm not going to say it won't happen because that would be naive, but I don't see it being an issue personally. I just don't. I mean, if there's that many people there craving beer that much, they'll be out in the parking lot getting tanked and not coming back in. So, but it's a smart move. Everyone else has been doing it and making tons of money from it. And not because everybody else does it, but it's simply because that's where society has gone. And Purdue made what, $500,000 on beer alone, I think. Ohio State is making money hand over fist. Of course, they have a 90,000, 100,000 seat stadium that's full, as opposed to a 55 seat stadium that is partially full. So we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. But it's a wise thing to do to get into the 21st century for Indiana. And we'll see how it goes. But I think most people are in favor of it. There are those who aren't. You're always going to have people that oppose something, and that's fine. That's their right. But it's probably the wise thing to do to get on board. And they could probably certainly use the money.
Could always use the money.
We could all use the money, baby. It's all about the Benjamins. Archie made an in-home visit to 6'3", 5-star point guard Caleb Love, a point guard from St. Louis. Good-looking kid. That kid from Massachusetts. I was watching video on him. He's got a good stroke. And in Lester Quinones' announcement, wherever that will be made now, I guess hang on for that. That'll come at a later date, his announcement, he said. But that's still going to be on May 10th when that happens. So we don't know where that will happen just yet, but it'll happen somewhere. Indiana also made an offer to another 5-star forward, Dawson Garcia. He's one of the top front court players in the nation. And he's also in the 2020 class, though. So all these guys are 2020. He received a visit and a scholarship offer from the Hoosiers. Archie Miller and Tom Ostrom visited Garcia. They made scholarship offers. That's according to his AAU coach, and that's according to Jeff Rabjohns from Pigs.com, who first reported that. So he's out of the Minnesota system, which is the same place where they got Race Thompson and Tom Ostrom. He's got connections up there. I can't remember if he coached up there, but I remember that he has a line into that. So, but this guy's a big dude. He's 6'11". He's listed as a power forward, not a guy that's going to be down low banging, but this dude can shoot from outside. Apparently his dad was the coach of his AAU team when he was younger, and he would have him play point guard, even though he was the tallest kid on the floor. So, but that goes to help. I mean, that brings to mind people like Magic Johnson. Dude was 6'9" back in the 80s, roaming as a point guard, had mad ball skills like a point guard, and he's 6'9". The same height as Larry Bird. Can you imagine Larry Bird acting as point guard? Maybe, because he's a pretty damn good passer. But yeah, Magic Johnson was, man, he kind of set the mark for that. But everybody I remember is like, dude, how's he playing point guard? How can he do that? How can he handle the ball like that? Make those passes? Crazy, incredible. But if you work at it like this kid did when he was younger, you can develop those skills and maintain them. So. We'll certainly see how that turns out. Indiana, it's key that they land some solid players next year. And I mean, I'm not pushed away because they're 5-star, because every 5-star is not a one and done. And this kid here, I don't see him being necessarily a one and done either, probably. Now, 5-stars probably are not usually going to hang out for 4 years. If they are, I don't know what kind of a 5-star hangs out for 4 years, but I'm sure it happens. Some may want to stay in college, but we'll see. But a lot of offers going out, man. A lot of things happening. We got a lot going on today. We've got to take a break. So to take care of our great sponsors, because without our sponsors, we can't bring you the great things like interviews with Jerry Meyer from 247 Sports. We're going to have Eric Gordon Sr. this week. Tom Coverdale this week, but we're only able to do that because of our great sponsors like Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling. John Sweetland. Sweetland Waste Removal is a homegrown company serving Floyd Clark Harrison in Washington County since 1995. Also, our good friends at Reynolds Family Dentistry. They've been serving Southern Indiana families for over 30 years. Doctors Jay and Roger Reynolds, we appreciate them as well. And, of course, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Fresh made daily pizza, burgers, beer. Man, got a lot going on. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll be back with more from the Golf Club and Eagle Point Studios on Indiana Sports Beat right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for it each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving Southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Watch the bodies. No room for make out. I think his taster.
Welcome back to Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Speed with Jim Coyle with you as always. Thanks a lot for taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you're doing. We appreciate you taking us along for the ride. Big news for Jasper native and a member of the Indiana baseball staff, Scott Rowland. He helped lift the St. Louis Cardinals to the 2006 World Series championship. He's one of 3 new members into the Cardinals Hall of Fame. Scott Rowland and reliever Jason Igringhausen, another prominent member of the St. Louis 06 squad, will be inducted into the club's Hall of Fame on August 24th at Ballpark Village next to Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Deceased pitcher Mort Cooper, who sparked St. Louis to World Series titles in 42 and 44, will also be honored. So congratulations to Scott Rowland on that. That's a hell of an honor, man. You talk about that's quite a Hall of Fame there. That's St. Louis is one of those. St. Louis Cardinals baseball club is one of those that is just deep and rich in history, and that is an incredible honor. Rowland was born in Evansville and started Jasper High School. He and Isringhausen were chosen by fan balloting from a group also consisting of Keith Hernandez, Matt Morris, Edgar Renteria, and John Tudor. Those 6 were selected by a Red Ribbon committee, including media members and Hall of Fame members Tony La Russa and Whitey Herzog. That same committee selected Cooper to the Cardinals Hall of Fame on the veterans side. So congratulations to Scott Rowland. And then we mentioned earlier, congratulations also to Lily King, who was recently on the show with us, as she received that honor from the Honda Swimmer of the Year, basically. That's like winning the Heisman, I guess, in swimming. It's pretty good, but it's just another piece of hardware she can put on the mantle or in her closet. Actually, I remember when I asked her, she doesn't even see her medals very often. She just when she needs to go get them. She probably has so much stuff that they probably have to have a room for that, for all that. So, but congratulations to Scott Rowland and Lily King, both being honored. Clifton Moore is heading to LaSalle. Remember earlier when Jake Forrester, he ended up at Temple, and now Clifton Moore will also be in LaSalle in Philadelphia.
It's in the Pennsylvania area. I'm not sure if it's actually in Philadelphia or not.
I can't remember or not, but I think that it is. But congrats, I'm glad for him. We got a text in from Joker. He hit us up, says, sounds to me Archie is offering more players in the 2020 class than the previous years. Do you think that is because of missing on previous recruits, therefore puts more out there to make the recruits to pull the trigger so they get the Scully before they're grabbed up by others? Well, yes, I do. But that has not always worked. And I talked to, I don't know if it's yesterday or the day before, about the fact that I saw a list of the Big Ten teams and the scholarship offers that have been extended. If you looked at the bottom, there was like Illinois, Rutgers, they had 40 offers out. Then at the top was Indiana that only had 6 out at the time. So I don't know if they're kind of behind and they're just trying to catch up. But these are all 2020 guys, and they've kind of realized that there's not really much out there that they've been looking at for the 2019. And yeah, they got to get some guys locked down next year. It's like they missed on these guys. Excuse me. But Keon Brooks was just a big, big loss. And we talk about all this with Jerry Meyer. We'll talk about all that with Jerry Meyer today, but he is the director of national recruiting for 247 Sports. But yeah, it's a kind of a change in philosophy right now for them as they're trying to lock some guys down. We'll see how it works out, but they definitely have to they got to hit some home runs next year. I mean, you got Trace Jackson Davis coming in and Armand Franklin, which is a nice player. And with the addition of Joey Brunk, it probably alleviates the sting a little bit. He's not really a part of the recruiting class, but he will fill the bill for the next 2 years as a stopgap measure. But not hitting on 2 of those scholarships, it's hurting him. they're not landing the point guard that Archie has been trying to land now for quite some time. You have to have a backup for Rob Phinisee. You have to have someone who's being groomed to be the next Rob Phinisee, and they don't have that guy yet. So now, if they land him in the next class, that'll be coming in when he's a junior. So really, they're going to be a year off. They're going to be out of cycle on that. But I'm sure that they'll get by. Maybe they get everything they need next year. But they won't have them coming in. So unless they can hit something up on the grad transfer market, it's going to be another hole. And I think it's going to be something that hurts them. I mean, you've got two good guards in Devontae Green and Al Durham, but they're not point guards. They're not pure point guards. And Archie likes having a pure point guard run his offense, and because it flows better with his offense, because you need to have he's playing Devontae and Al Durham with a point guard. So when you don't have that, that means somebody's got to slide over. Somebody else has got to slide in to their position. And I'm not sure that they're prepared for that just yet, but they're going to have to be. They're just going to have to be. Hit us up on the text line with any questions or comments. Matt Weaver's going to be on the show today. We'll talk about some football recruiting and talk about not having any problems there. Man, Tom Allen is getting it done. Rayshawn Williams, there was a video clip. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but just look it up. I think I retweeted it. You can follow me on Twitter at Jim Coyle ISB. But he was making his official announcement on video, and instead of putting a hat on, he had an IU shirt on. And he went to zip his jacket down, and the zipper got stuck. And he had to walk away from the table a minute, and somebody had to help him pull the jacket off of his head. He couldn't get the zipper undone. But Jake, I'll have to try to pull that clip up, because there's a great little sound bite with him. I've reposted it on Twitter, so you should be able to find it on mine pretty quickly. But he's talking about that he wants to create a pipeline from Detroit to IU. So you've already, not only do you have the best recruit number wise in the history of IU football, since they've been doing this, at least since they've been keeping track of these recruitings, but he's the highest rated recruit in the history since they've been keeping track of that. And when you've got this guy that is not only coming to Indiana, but he's starting off by saying, hey, I want to be a part of creating a pipeline from here to IU. That is one hell of a recruiting tool. That's big time. This is a big time player. And to have him do that, that shows the type of kid he is, number one. He's not sending out notes about complaining that his high school wouldn't let him make an announcement.
Get off my lawn. The zipper?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's at the end of it. You let it run. I don't think there's any audio until you see him come up on there.
Yeah, I've got it. Let me play it real quick.
Hey, help me do this.
Well, I don't hear him talking yet.
His zipper's still stuck.
Oh, he still got his zipper stuck. So he's still trying to get his jacket off of his head, which it was kind of funny. But, he got past it. But especially when he said afterwards. Any idea how close we are to getting to him actually talking? Well, I can't just sit here and not say anything while we're waiting for him. But it's also cool how he handled it. That shows he's a cool cat, man. He didn't panic. He just took care of what he needed to take care of and got to that. Of course, it didn't go exactly how he would like for that to have gone, but
I feel like
again shows me
I'm making the right decision, not for me, but for my family in the long run. This commitment not really just for me, it's for the people that's gonna come after me. I'm trying just to start a pipeline from here to IU.
That's a great recruiting package right there for Tom Allen. That dude's in, man. He's committed. He's all in. He's wanting to bring more people with him. He's talking about the people coming after him. That, again, shows the inroads that Tom Allen has made and how he connects with these kids. He's a player's coach, man. They love him. I mean, he's out there high-fiving and chest bumping, and you're not going to see Urban Meyer doing that, but you also see Urban Meyer winning championships and going to bowl games. So I'm not saying that as a negative to Urban Meyer, obviously, but Tom Allen's just different still, and I don't see that changing for a while, but he's new at being a collegiate head coach. Eventually that will calm down, I'm sure. But right now I don't see him not ever being a player's coach. That's for certain. He is what he is, and he is all about energy and LAO. And I think that is serving him very well. Obviously, it resonates. It obviously resonates because the job he is doing is just phenomenal. I said it yesterday. I'll say it again. He's coming off of back-to-back 5-7 campaigns, of which they did not make a bowl game, in which they should have both years, but they didn't. And not only is the recruiting continuing to be solid, it's continuing to get better. A lot of offers going out. We'll talk about all that with Matt Weaver when he comes on with us this morning from Peaks.com. But, man, he's getting it done. Now, that has to translate onto the field, and it's got to translate into wins. They've got to start putting a product on the field to draw people in to buy beer at Memorial Stadium. It all comes together as one nice package. It's very timely. If the program continues to grow right now, couldn't be of any better timing. Maybe they can use that money to give Tom Allen a raise because he is the only coach. He's the lowest paid coach in the Big Ten, $1.8 million. Now, that's great. I'll take that all day long. I'm not saying that's for a head football coach in the Big Ten. It's kind of embarrassing, to be honest with you. He's the only coach that makes less than $2 million in the Big Ten. Rutgers coach makes more. Illinois coach makes more. Lovie Smith at Illinois has got just a fat contract. What do they got to show for that? They're not doing the job Indiana is recruiting. I can guarantee you that. So hopefully they can use that to give him a raise because he's shown he's deserved it on the premise of what is happening. Now, yeah, that needs to transfer to wins, and I think that it will. I think he's starting to get the pieces in place to do that by having an offensive coordinator that is a young and an innovative kind of he's not going to be doing crazy stuff, but is going to be able to make adjustments at halftime, which is something Indiana absolutely did not do last year. They were just terrible at that. It would just keep trying to do the same old crap that didn't work the first half. So that will not be the case this year. Very confident of that. He's got a defensive coordinator named Kane Womack. Tom Allen now needs to be the head coach. And he's going to have to let these guys do their jobs. He's got to let the offensive coordinator run the offense. As he called it, be the head coach of the offense. Well, you got to let him do that. And that includes making the call on who plays quarterback. I think that the offensive coordinator is in a much better position to make that call because this is what he's doing. This is what he's running. It's like being the CEO of a company and having a president of an arm or a subsidiary or whatever, and then trying to still run that subsidiary. I think that you've got to let the offensive coordinator call the plays. You've got to let the offensive coordinator call the personnel. Now, the head coach obviously has the final say, but you've got to trust the people you have in place. That's why you put them in place to begin with. You had confidence in their abilities to do that job. Now they have to be let to do that job. We'll certainly hope to see how that turns out, but I think it's going to be a fun offense for Indiana this year. Man, do they have the pieces in place, and it looks like they got it more coming. So congratulations to all involved on that. Looking forward to that. Got a lot coming up on the show today. Matt Weaver from Peaks.com is joining us. We're going to talk about those football recruits. We're going to talk to Jerry Meyer from 247 Sports, the National Director of Basketball Recruiting for 247 Sports, we'll talk about a lot of different things. So looking forward to having him on as well. And then this week, like I said, Eric Gordon, Tom Coverdale, we got all kinds of people coming. Todd Leary, of course, on the weekend. It's also Derby week for those of you that care. Churchill Downs is bustling down in Louisville. I haven't kept up with it like I normally do, but it's up and running. But I think they're going to have some potential weather issues this weekend. I know that there's potential thunderstorms in Bloomington today. We'll see how that turns out, but hopefully not. But it's a big weekend in sports, the Derby. It's always going on. Indiana's on the road in baseball. Talked about that yesterday. They are traveling to Illinois for a 3-game series. Their next 7 games are on the road, by the way. They've got a 3-game set at Illinois. Then on Tuesday, they travel to Lexington, Kentucky to take on Kentucky, an SEC challenge. Anytime you play a team from the SEC, it's a challenge because a lot of the big-time programs are in the SEC because they're in the warm weather states. Texas A&M, Florida, Mississippi State, all those schools, South Carolina, Alabama, it's Georgia. It's warm down there, man. They get to practice year-round outside. Makes a big difference. But we'll see how that turns out. Hit us up on the text line with any comments or questions for Matt Weaver. He'll be coming up in the next hour, but you can do so at 812-269-6367, like Joker did earlier. And I hope I answered Joker's question completely, but he asked about the offers to 2020 and if it's because they missed. And I don't think I answered that part of it. Yeah, I do. I think that not only do I think yes to that, but I think that some of these offers were made because of the guys they missed on. I'm not sure some of these offers happen if one or both of these, if Anthony Harris came, I don't know that some of these offers goes out. I'll be honest with you. If him and Quinones had come, which Quinones is not announced yet, but I don't foresee him coming to Indiana. He was on a Memphis station yesterday talking about it. We'll talk about that as well. More coming up in the next hour, but stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat coming back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We're back right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become one in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. We're gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come on along. We appreciate you taking Indiana Sports Beat along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. Thanks a lot for taking us along with you. Jim Coyle on hand for you as always. Jake back mining things. Hopefully your day's off to a good start. We got a lot to get to today. Matt Weaver from Peaks.com is going to be on with us. Jerry Meyer from the National Scouting Director from 247 Sports as well. Lots to talk about. George Taliaferro Plaza will be named at Memorial Stadium, a great honor for the first African-American to play football in the Big Ten here at Indiana. That'll be a very tidy thing to have happen next year. They'll also be selling beer at Memorial Stadium for starting in football season. So a lot of big news there, and a lot of action going on in the basketball recruiting world as well. Archie and crew out making a lot of visits, making a lot of offers. We'll talk about that as well. You can hit us up on the text line, 812-269-6367. Archie Moore, in-home visit to 6'3", 5-star point guard Caleb Love. He's from St. Louis. He already holds an IU offer. Today, Archie is expected to visit in school with Matt Cross, a kid that also received an offer from IU a couple of days ago. He's from Connecticut. And then also today from Stepinac, New York, another point guard, RJ Davis. That's a scheduled visit today. Lester Quinones, he's also going to get a visit at school from Archie on Thursday as Archie continues to try to work Mr. Quinones. He was on a Memphis radio station yesterday and was talking about his recruitment, and he said that he was basically leaning – he still had his top 5, but he was leaning towards Memphis and Indiana. So Indiana obviously making some great inroads. Can they do enough? I'm not sure. I'm not. And yesterday also Quinones was, I don't want to say in the news, but he was made headlines in a way, but he used to go to Brentwood, a high school in Brentwood, and he had wanted to make his announcement there, although it's not where he had been going because he had moved on to an academy. Apparently there's some bad blood there. And they did not want him to make the announcement. And Quinones made sure that that was known and sent out a very long tweet about that, which I find I didn't see that to be necessary. I think it was kind of an immature thing to do. I think it's immature by both sides, probably. But maybe you don't blame them for say, hey man, you're not part of our school anymore. Go make it at where you've been playing. But either way, it doesn't matter. I don't think that it was the best thing in the world to do to send out a big tweet about it, because he's gotten all these followers now through this recruiting process, because everywhere he's been, he's lighting the fans up, sending out a tweet saying, hey, hit me up, peeps, bust me up, raise me up, go over to my Instagram account and all this. And so he's been really bolstering his social media account. And then you follow that with his little thing he did yesterday. I'm not a fan of that. Maybe it's a get off my lawn kind of a deal, but I'm just not a fan of it. I think it's an immature thing. It's unnecessary. It's bringing unnecessary attention to yourself, and it's a negative thing to bring up. Again, maybe it's an immature thing on the part of those school officials, but whether it is or it isn't, it did not need to be done this way, in my opinion. And I've noticed, he's really all about this social media thing. As I said, he's really been pushing everywhere he goes, the schools. He reaches out to that particular fan base and tries to get them pumped up. I saw he did it a lot with Indiana, the Indiana fans. So he's very into his social media and uses it to his advantage. I guess I've said what I need to say on it, but I just didn't think it'd be a necessary thing. So in that case, I wonder, are the parents just as pissed off as he was? Because did they not know he did it? Did they not talk about this? Did they not have conversations? I don't know what that situation is. But it's just another one of those things that you deal with now in the world of recruiting. So there's that. Big news for Scott Rowland, a member of Indiana's baseball staff, as he is formerly, he's originally from Evansville, but he went to high school in Jasper. Well, he's going to be enshrined into the St. Louis Cardinals Baseball Hall of Fame. That's a huge honor, man. A huge honor. He helped the 2006 edition of the Cardinals win a World Series title. Along with Rowland, reliever Jason Isringhausen, another prominent member of that 2006 World Series winner, will be inducted into the club's Hall of Fame on August 24th at Ballpark Village, which is next to Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Deceased pitcher Mort Cooper, who sparked St. Louis to World Series titles in 42 and 44, will also, I guess I got to start saying 1942 and 44. But he'll also be honored. But congratulations to Scott Rowland on that. Lily King, who was recently on the show with us, recently named Honda Swimmer of the Year. Oh, so congratulations to her. Maybe that's the Heisman of the swimming. So that's a pretty cool thing. Big news in Bloomington is they're going to be selling beer next year at Memorial Stadium football. They're the seventh Big Ten school to do this, so they're kind of behind a little bit. These other schools are making money hand over fist, especially places like Ohio State, who has a 100,000 seat stadium. Man, you think they're not making money? But even Purdue, with their similarly sized stadium, they made like over $500,000 the year before last just on beer sales. I said earlier, we're talking about it. Hopefully Indiana can do something like that, and maybe they can give Tom Allen a raise, because Tom Allen is absolutely killing it on the recruiting front, and he's the lowest paid football coach in the Big Ten, one of the lowest paid football coaches in Division I football. Now, I get it. He had not been a head coach in college prior to this, so I was fine with that. But he's doing a great job recruiting, which I know that has to translate to wins. I think that's a matter of time. You can't have that kind of talent and growth in talent and depth and not succeed. And he just seems like a guy that's going to succeed. He reminds me of Terry Hepner in a lot of ways. And I think when Indiana, unfortunately, sadly, lost Coach Hepner way back when, it really hurt the football program. It set them back, which they were never, we're not talking about a Michigan or Ohio State, but after the Bill Mallory years, they had some success. Man, Coach Mallory had some success. But he at least showed that they could be on par. They could play with the Ohio States and the Michigans because he beat them both. He beat them both in the same year. Wouldn't you like to see that happen again? I think it's a possibility because you've seen Indiana be close to beating Michigan the last two times they played in Memorial Stadium. They should have beat them both times, to be honest with you. They lost in double overtime time before last. They lost in overtime last time. Should have won both those games. Should have won both of those games. But I think that he can get them back. When you have a kid like Samson James, who was committed to Ohio State, and Indiana goes to play at Ohio State last year, and they were competitive. They were really competitive. But for whatever reason, right after that, Samson James flips his commitment to Indiana. And fast forward to today, you've got Jack Tuttle in there, who is one of the highest rated quarterbacks that they've gotten. Now you just get the highest rated quarterback in the time of the ratings era. And he's just doing a phenomenal job. He shouldn't be the lowest paid coach in the Big Ten, nor one of the lowest paid in the country. Just my thoughts on that. But we'll see how that goes. But it certainly won't be a complaint of not having money because they make money hand over fist from the Big Ten Network. So you got that. They'll be making money from this. And then there's a discussion that's been brought up that will they stop people from drinking out in the parking lots? Will they make that not legal? Well, it's not legal now. Indiana's a dry campus. They just turn the other eye. They just turn their head. Just turn a blind eye to it because they don't have a huge following right now. So you can't be running people off when you don't have a lot to choose from. So I don't think that that's going to happen either. I think that the prices of beer will be kept at such where unless you got a pocket full of money, you're not going to be just throwing beers around because I'm certain they're going to probably be $8, $9, $10 a pop. They're going to limit the amount. They'll cut off sales probably at the end of the third quarter. I just don't see it being an issue. I think I think it is what they said it is, which is to enhance the game day experience. That's not the real reason. That's the joke. That's what cracks me up. I always say be honest once. Just be honest. Hey, we're going to start selling beer. All these other teams are doing it. And they're making ass loads of money. So we'd like to do that too. But instead they say, we'd like to add to the game day experience. Well, then give the beer away. If you want to add to the game day experience, give it away. That's not the case. They want to make money on, which is fine. But don't act like that's why you're doing it. Be honest. I'd love to see somebody be honest. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Don't know if they can get away with that, but hey, stay tuned. We got a lot coming up. Matt Weaver from Peegs.com. We're going to talk about some football recruiting because there's a lot to talk about. Rayshawn Williams, man, huge recruit for him. We've got all that. Jerry Meyer from 247 Sports comes up later as well. We'll be back with more here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Indiana Sports Beat back right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for it each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
I feel like I'm making the right decision, not for me, but for my family in like the long run. This commitment not really just for me, it's for like the people that's gonna come after me. Like I'm trying just to start like a pipeline from here to IU.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Thanks a lot for joining us. We're being joined now by our good friend Matt Weaver from Peegs.com, the guru of knowledge on Indiana football. And there's, Matt, I don't know if there's ever been this much going on with IU football. You got the announcement that they're going to start selling beer and wine next year. I'm sure that's a welcome thing by a lot of fans. The announcement of George Taliaferro Plaza, that's an incredible, great thing for him. A great, great person in the history of IU athletics, or IU University, for Indiana University for that matter. And then, of course, the big news with the signing of, or not signing, but the commitment of Rayshawn Williams. We played that clip coming back in. Just that guy coming to Indiana, that's huge for Tom Allen.
Yeah, it is. And obviously it's, the rating. He's a 4-star, one of the highest recruits that they've ever gotten in the history of IU football recruiting. For me, what makes it significant is where he's from. I mean, Indiana, Michigan's a bordering state, but it's not a state where they've had a ton of success, at least the last few years, and they've recruited there, and Mike Hart does a great job. But this shows that they're starting to get a foothold in the state of Michigan, and sometimes it can take a year or two for those relationships to kind of pay off. I mean, it's not like you're just going to go up there right away and start getting guys. You got to develop those relationships, and sometimes it can be almost 2 recruiting cycles before it really starts to, you see the fruits of the labor, and and then beaten out. Obviously, I know IU fans are going to beat up there. It was basically down to IU and Purdue for Rashawn Williams, and to win that recruiting battle is significant because that's a good offense for receivers at Purdue. I mean, it's obviously you saw that last year with Rondale Moore, so it's just a great all around. I mean, this is an instant impact type of guy. Obviously he's going to have to come in and earn it, but this is a kid that can come in and be make a really big impact on your program, your offense from day one. And it's an eye-opening recruit, and I think you've kind of seen it. There's been even a little bit of national, kind of people, talking about this 4-star guy going to Indiana, and it's kudos to obviously to Mike Hart for being the lead recruiter there, and obviously Tom Allen was heavily involved. I'm sure Grant Hurd was also involved. So just a huge get for the program.
Yeah, you talk about beating out Purdue. It is huge because not only they're there, they're having success now, and you've got Jeff Brom there, who's a great coach, a great quarterback himself in his own right, and they also have a lot of great athletes there. So to beat them out is huge in a lot of ways, like you pointed out. But also what Rashawn said in his clip about he wants to be a part of creating a pipeline from there and to IU, and that's got to be magical words to Tom Allen's ears.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I mean, Purdue the last couple of classes has done a very good job recruiting Michigan. I don't obviously not close to their program. I'm not sure what staff member has ties up there, but Rashawn's got some teammates at Purdue that from his high school and from Detroit, buddies of his. So that to me. Yeah, I kept hearing Indiana was really good. I wondered if that kind of pipeline that they had started might be the deciding factor, and obviously it wasn't. And to hear him say that, if you can get something similar started, I don't know if maybe to the same level, but something kind of similar to what you got going on in the Tampa area, where maybe every year you're getting a guy or two from. And Detroit Kings are a really good program. I mean, they were state champs last year. I mean, there's at least 2 other guys on that team right now that IU staff would take right now if they wanted to commit. They have a running back, Penny Boone, who's a 4-star player, and then DeAndre Buford, a big O tackle that would be a heck of a pickup. I mean, and there's starting to be rumors and kind of whispers that Penny Boone is maybe leaning Indiana's way. And running back is not a huge need in this class, but this is a 6'2", 225-pound guy who can really move and power back, kind of almost like a Stevie Scott type guy that the staff would definitely take, and he'd be a heck of a pickup if they can get him. But yeah, if you can start that, and obviously, the big thing is we talk about it all the time. You got momentum on the recruiting trail, but that momentum is only going to last so long. You got to start translating that to the field and getting some wins. But if you can do that, then the momentum on the recruiting trail is just going to pick up even more.
Yeah, and you mentioned Florida, and I was thinking about that. Tom Allen is kind of mushrooming Indiana's recruiting out to national recruiting, which that's not something they've been able to successfully do in recent times. But, man, those are great. Detroit, man, you talk about some athletes. They got Florida, you got to get your Florida guys, but they're getting that. And then they're also adding some of the top recruits within the state of Indiana. So they're hitting on all cylinders right now. Of course, that's got to grow because this is the norm for a lot of programs. But Indiana's got to raise the bar, and they're doing a good job of getting there. And now you add to the pieces like Jack Tuttle and Michael Penix, a new offensive coordinator. Things are looking pretty rosy for Indiana football right now.
Yeah, I agree. And when recruiting at every school starts with the head coach. I mean, you may have a guy that's designated as a recruiting coordinator or whatever the title may be. The recruiting coordinator is the head coach. he's the one that sets kind of the pace, kind of sets what you're doing, and then everybody kind of goes off of that. And Tom Allen's really good. He's a very organized guy. Knows what he wants, has a plan. He's working the plan. He was on a podcast on 247 with Steve Wiltfong and Alan True, a couple of recruiting guys, and he made an interesting comment about how they treat Florida almost like how they treat the Indiana and like the 6-hour radius around their campus. They blanket. They send a lot of coaches down there, and they recruit it almost like it's an in-state type of area, and it's paid off. And I completely agree with that. I mean, obviously you want to get in-state guys as many as you can, and in that kind of 6-hour radius, that drivable distance for families. But Florida is just loaded, and they can't all go to the SEC schools. There's plenty of guys down there, and some of them don't want to. Some of them want to get away from home, and it's a great place. And obviously he's got ties from his time down there, and it's paid off, and I think it will continue to pay off. And like you said, you mentioned, this has been a pretty good offseason for Fred Glass. I mean, the beer and wine at games and putting the names back on the jersey, and they ponied up the dough to get Kalen DeBoer, really good, well-respected offensive coordinator who I think is going to be a head coach in the not too distant future. So it's knock on wood, it keeps up. But it's been a good offseason so far for Indiana football, which has been a change because a lot of times in the offseason we've had some kind of maybe negative type news. So hopefully this keeps up and it's just nothing but positive from here on out.
Talking with Matt Weaver, a friend from Pigs.com. If you want to know anything about Indiana football, that's probably where you need to go first. He's going to be on it. And talking about translating this into wins, they're getting all these great pieces, which but people have to be asking that they're not around Tom Allen, and if they're not around this staff, they've got to be asking, how in the hell are they doing this coming off of back-to-back 5 and 7 seasons at a program that has virtually no football tradition, so to speak of, but yet they are recruiting. They're starting to bump heads with the bigger programs. And it's got to be a wonder to people if they don't know Tom Allen, if they haven't met him. But even if you have, that's still a phenomenal job to get some of these guys. And you're like, wow, what a heck of a job that is. So how can you explain to the people who may not be aware of that, how someone who can do that off of back-to-back 5 and seasons, and yet you're landing these great recruits?
Well, I mean, it seems kind of cliche and simplistic, but this staff does a great job of cultivating relationships. And I'm not saying other schools don't, because that's what recruiting is all about. I mean, at the end of the day, recruiting is sales. People always say sales is about relationships, but they really, because in Indiana, that's what you got to sell. I mean, you're not selling the 100,000 seat stadium. You're not selling, Kevin Wilson used to call it kids would commit to the helmet. They're not committing to the helmet, like at a Michigan or Ohio State or an Alabama or some of those other places. You're not selling that kind of stuff. You got to sell what you can sell, and they do a great job with that. It's when guys come on campus, all the coaches talk to them. I mean, if it's a receiver, the defensive coaches are talking to them. They get to know everybody, and that, I just think that makes guys feel comfortable. It's had an O-lineman talk about when he came on campus, his mom was with him, and Darren Hiller's wife kind of spent time with her and told her, hey, I'm kind of like the mother to these boys when they come here. I mean, stuff like that. It just, that's, I'm not saying other schools don't do it. I don't cover other schools. I could just tell you what Indiana does, but I think that stuff really resonates, and it's really, it makes an impact, and it makes people feel comfortable about sending their child. If you live in Florida, or you live in Georgia, or wherever you live, sending them so many hours away or hundreds of miles away, or even if it's just from, Indianapolis down to Bloomington, you feel comfortable sending your son because you know that they're going to be taken care of. They're going to get a good education. They're going to have to go to class and make the grades, and they're going to get pushed on the football field, and definitely. And I think another thing is Dave Ballou is a big deal. I think the strength conditioning program is really impressive to people, what they're doing with Dr. Ray and Dave Ballou and his guys. And I think that's another thing. I think they've got all the pieces in place to finally, maybe make Indiana a name in football. But like I said, it's, at some point you do have to start getting the wins. They're awful close, but now you got to start some of those games last year and the year before that, you're a play or two away. You got to make those plays now, and you got to go from that 5-win season to get into that 6, 7, 8-win season.
Yeah, maybe they can take some of that beer money and give Tom Allen a raise because he certainly deserves it, being the lowest paid head coach in the Big Ten. He's certainly earned it, I think.
Yeah, and that's I remember that's and finally one thing be interesting about the beer sales and the wine sales and will that maybe cut down on the people who who take off at halftime to go back out to drink in the parking lot, because Indiana, I believe, is the only school in the Big Ten that allows pass outs. That's one policy I wish they would change, but it is what it is. But does that keep people in the stadium? Because now they maybe does that cut down? Somebody tell me that they found at Ohio State, when they started selling alcohol beer in their stadium a couple years ago, it cut down the number of incidents or arrests by 65%, because you don't have people doing the binge drinking right before the game so they can stay buzzed during the game. So maybe that'll keep some people in. Maybe for students who are 21 and over, they'll, now that they can drink in the stadium, maybe they'll stay in, and that just, it helps the atmosphere. I mean, obviously, we've seen it, and the students the last few years have done a good job of turning out. We need to get some of the people on the other side of the stadium, the alumni, to come in and support this team, because I think good things are happening with Indiana football, and I think this is just got a chance to be a fun season.
Yeah, they're in a precarious position. They're making this major step, which is awesome, and I think it's a great thing for the fans, and they're going to enjoy that. But they don't have that gigantic fan base yet, or a big fan base yet. So they've got to be careful of how they approach everything to not alienate them. They don't want to do that, obviously, but at the same time, they have to protect their interests as well. So I can see those passes going away. I don't know if they'll do it. Maybe they do it this year. Maybe they don't. We'll find out. But it probably is something that will and has to happen at some point, because it's like, hey, there's a concession here. We're giving you the beer, but we need you to stay in the stadium. But they've got to get the people there first, I think. And once that culture comes. But, of course, winning sure does a great job of bringing those people to the stadium. Yeah,
and that's the biggest thing. I mean, we can talk about all the stuff on the side, and this helps. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I think this helps, and this is something that I thought they should have done, been in the works for a while, and kudos to them again, to Fred Glass for stepping up and doing this. But the bottom line is, I mean, you can put whatever you want in the stadium. You got to get wins on the field. You got to start. You got to get to that 6-7 wins, and then hopefully once you do that, then maybe take that next step. I mean, the schedule this year is not easy. The non-conference schedule is incredibly manageable. That and then you obviously Rutgers. Those are 4 games right there. You absolutely have to have, and then you got to try to. There's some toss-up games: Northwestern and Purdue, and Michigan State on the road is going to be tough. Nebraska on the road is going to be tough. Maryland's another toss-up game. So you got some games in there, but you got to get those 4 and then try to find two other wins, and hopefully you're not 5-6 going into that bucket game, because I think you can beat Purdue, but there seems to be a little bit of kind of psychological thing going on right now, and so you like to get to that 6-7 wins before that, and then maybe it makes a little bit more relaxed going into that game. Obviously there's a lot of stress and tension and hype on that game, but they seem to, the last couple of years, and he has obviously come out flat, not played well either time against Purdue when all the marbles have been on the table, so to speak.
Yeah, it was strange. I remember both of those games, being at both of them, and exactly what you said is exactly true. I think that change will come because Kalen DeBoer is someone who's probably – I think Indiana's going to be more apt to be able to make adjustments at halftime and things like that, but they're going to be more competitive. They've got a lot better pieces in place to help them with that. And speaking of parts and pieces, what's the next big thing that could come down the pike for Indiana?
Well, they got – they're still actually looking to add, and we've talked about this in the past, our last couple of talks, they're still looking to add for this upcoming season. I mean, I know we're focused on 2020 because that's kind of, you kind of change gears after the signing period of February, but they're still looking to add, obviously with the transfers, I mean, that's going to kind of change how recruiting is done nowadays. But Eliasa Anderson, the O-line, Baylor transfer O-lineman, he should be announcing anytime. I mean, he's told me the end of this month or the first week of May. So we're looking at this week or possibly next week. Brandon Pierce, a junior college wide receiver from College of the Canyons in California. He made an official visit. It's been about a week and a half now. kind of a Shane Wynn type. Maybe a little bit taller than Shane. He's about 5'10", 5'11". I hate to compare him to Marquise Brown, the really good receiver. Oklahoma just got drafted in the first round, but they're from the same JUCO, and he's got similar type speed. Now, to call him that is not fair to that kid because, he's got a long way to go to be that good. But if he's even half as good as Marquise Brown, you got a heck of a player. I'm hearing that there's some confidence that they could get him. We'll see what happens, but if you could add those two guys, now Anderson, the grad transfer not grad transfer, excuse me, he's a regular transfer. He's played 2 years at Baylor. They'll appeal, I think, to see if he can maybe get immediate eligibility. If he doesn't, he'll have to sit out this upcoming season. He'd still have 2 years left to play. So it just, that gives you a veteran guy. It'd be nice if he could help this year, but if not, it kind of helps balance out your O-line class a little bit. It gives you somebody, because you're going to lose, 3 starters, Coy Crunk, Hunter Littlejohn, Simon Stepniak, after this season. So it gives you a guy that can step right in, hopefully at one of those spots, and have a seamless transition, and then as far as 2020, they're going to see Kalen DeBoer is going to see Dimitri Crenshaw from Pickerington Central High School in Ohio. He's a quarterback. He has an offer from Indiana, but it was before Coach DeBoer came on board. He wants to see him throw in person. He's going to see him on Thursday, tomorrow. I believe it's tomorrow, and to go see him throw and see if he likes him. And he's a guy that I think if they decide they want to take him, I think they got a really good shot to get him. So those are kind of right now the upcoming guys. I'm not sure of any other imminent commitments, but you never know. Kids can tell you they're going to commit in June and then they change their mind, or they're going to commit now and they wait. It just, you just don't know. They teenagers change their mind like people change their socks. So you're just kind of at the mercy of their decision making.
Nobody covers Indiana football better than Matt Weaver, and you can find him at Peaks.com. Matt, thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it, man. Great as always. Hope you have a great day.
You too, guys. Take care.
Thank you. Matt Weaver from Peaks.com joining us there. And, man, he does an outstanding job covering the Hoosiers. We're so grateful that he's a part of the program. But lots of great things about Indiana football, man. It's a high time for Tom Allen and staff right now as they are heading towards their third season. Hopefully they can start to get things translating over into wins because they are doing a bang-up job recruiting. Hit us up on the text line if you'd like. We've got Jerry Meyer from 247 Sports, the national director of 247 Sports, coming up next. I think Tim hit us up on a text. He said, if we can get Leal and Galloway in 2020 with Brunk, we could almost have 5 Indiana guys on the floor at the same time. Yeah, that would be cool, but I'd rather see 5 the best players on the floor. But absolutely, having those Indiana players is important. Everybody we talk to that comes on, whether it's Tom Coverdale or Todd Leary, they say the same thing. So you're absolutely right about that, Tim. But hopefully they can just get the best players they can get to have the best team that they can have as well. But we've got a lot more coming back here. We got Jerry Meyer from 247 Sports, the national scouting director for 247. Stay tuned. We'll be back with that right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen. a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat.
And I'm Justin Kalen with Indiana Sports Beat.
Justin, what's your favorite show?
It's got to be Indiana Sports Beat, but I'm not ever sure where to find it.
Well, you can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Thanks a lot for taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. We appreciate you taking Indiana Sports Beat along with you. Jim Coyle with you as always, and I'm very, very grateful to be joined by the Director of Basketball Scouting for 247 Sports. We're starting to know him as the evaluation guru because his talents can't be stopped. Jerry Meyer, thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'm glad to be with you.
We appreciate it, like I said. Man, there's a lot going on right now in as far as scouting and evaluating, because there's a lot to evaluate. First of all, the NCAA is in an area of a time that like no other. I know the cheating has gone on forever, but things have kind of really been blown up here of late with the FBI trials that are going on and some of the coaches that have been caught up in all this. It really puts a taint on things, and it slows down the fun and the joy of what you normally get to do.
Well, it's bringing it to the surface. That is for sure. And, you know, I think you said it well. We've always known there's cheating going on. I mean, I guess there's cheating in all facets of life. But we've kind of like turned our head the other way, and this has forced us to look it directly in the eye, and it doesn't look pretty. Some of the testimony that's come out the last couple of days, very damning for some high-profile coaches.
And we were talking off air about, and you mentioned that while this trial's going on, that it's kind of ironic that the one place that should probably be paying more attention than anybody and have more interest than anyone. The NCAA has no representation at that trial.
Yeah, I mean, according to Dan Wenzel and other writers that I follow who have been at the trials, actually physically there reporting on them, that's what they're saying, that the NCAA, you'd think they'd want to check it out. Now, I'm sure they're going to read the transcripts and all that, but it just seems strange. There's an odd disconnect here where you get this feeling like the FBI is doing the NCAA's job. You also, in a weird kind of twisted way or circular logic, you're like, man, if the NCAA had done their job enforcing the rules and being an effective, agent of, overseeing everything, then we wouldn't have coaches possibly going to jail for stuff that they thought was just part of the job. That's what's sad about this. Like Buck Richardson, when he was an assistant in Arizona for Sean Miller, I mean, it's crazy some of the stuff they have him saying on tape. But the fact is that for a lot of assistants, that's just how you did your job. I mean, that's how you do it. And the NCAA is letting it go. And now, I don't think Book ever thought, man, what I'm doing is a crime where I could go to jail. So a lot of people are getting a rude awakening into how, serious this intertwining of, amateur athletics and its rules meets, criminal federal charges.
Yeah, I routinely refer to the NCAA on this program, especially Mark Emmert, as Muppet Mark. He reminds me of one of those two old Muppets up in the balcony that doesn't know anything about what's going on, but they know everything about what's going on yet. And you talked about letting the FBI do their work because that's what they do best, let other people do their work. It reminds me of last year when they made all these sweeping, quote-unquote, changes. They involved USA Basketball without even letting USA Basketball know a thing about it. And that's strange. Sort of my take that stands out to me on all that is these changes in the recruiting calendar and creating regional camps run by the NCAA, and trying to have camps where high school teams playing it. Just all the different changes. I don't see what they have to do with reducing cheating in college basketball recruiting. It just looks like window dressing to me. And there's some line about putting lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. How is any of this going to really cut down on cheating? I thought that was the motivation, the emphasis. But, such is life. Yeah, it'll do for the NCAA, I assume. But we're right in the middle right now of the first season, I guess, of these changes. We just finished the only live period that there will be for coaches to be out watching players, evaluating them. So now the rest of the summer, they have to find other ways to look at and evaluate their players. And these players, more importantly, have to find other ways to catch the attention of coaches. They may not have done so yet, and now won't have that opportunity as they did before.
Right. Guys are going to, all these teams are going to fill up their scholarships. I don't look at it like, players aren't going to get a scholarship because of the changes in the calendar. But what's going to happen is maybe the wrong guys get scholarships, or maybe not the best fits. The harder, an irony here is people complain about all the transfers. Well, the harder you make recruiting and the more difficult and the less days the coaches get to watch the players and the less exposure the players get, you're just naturally going to have more recruiting mistakes and you're going to have bad fits. And I think you're going to see transfers go up. I would think there'd be an inverse direct correlation.
And as we transfer over, I'm going to be talking about Indiana recruiting. There's no correlation between our previous conversation and the next up recruiting, but recruiting has been difficult for Archie Miller at Indiana as far as landing guys outside of the state. There are of high prominence and high profile, which that's probably explained mainly because kids outside of the state of Indiana probably don't see Indiana the way they used to.
Well, yeah, we're not in the Bobby Knight heyday era anymore, and that's for sure. And it used to be Indiana kind of ruled over Purdue. That's not the case anymore. Just the competition has thickened and gotten tougher for Indiana recruiting. Indiana used to be seen, although the colors are red, sort of in that category of a blue blood, and it's just. Frankly, that's just not the case right now. I mean, I think recruiting is going okay, but yeah, Indiana does not have the nationwide allure and pull that it might have once had.
And while Archie is trying to get Indiana back to that level, he has the greatest thing as far as a resource. The state of Indiana probably produces more basketball talent per capita than any place in the country. So he's got a great start there. But that's still not the easiest thing to do, is to sell something when you're coming off a year where you lost 12 in a row.
Sure. But, there's always a spin. There's always a narrative, a positive one of, that's come in here and let's build something, let's bring Indiana back to prominence. All programs have to deal with stuff like this. When I say all, 98%, there's some of those that seem to just be on, Duke and Kentucky. They're going to be 1 and 2 every year recruiting. But, everyone else is going to have ups and downs. I think Indiana's going to be fine. I think they have some good players coming in. I think getting Joey Brunk was a big move that's really going to help the program. And then 2020 recruiting is going to be huge. And, still trying to get a feel and a gauge on where that's going to go with the Hoosiers.
And speaking of 2020, 3 offers went out in the last couple of days from Archie Miller and the staff. Obviously, 2 of those are Indiana kids, Anthony Leal and Trey Galloway from Culver, then the kid up in Massachusetts also. But those are in-state guys, which has seemed as a plum for a lot of people. They want to see Indiana kids on the Indiana roster, of course. You can't have all Indiana kids, but it's important to have a pretty good mix. When you're producing the talent that Indiana does, you ought to be having a lot of those kids play for you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, man, I remember back in the day, and when Memphis, it was Memphis State then. I mean, they were fielding Final Four caliber teams, just with Memphis kids. I mean, if you got the talent right there, why not? Memphis was supplying Arkansas as well with Nolan Richardson back in that time. So that, that was a hotbed of talent. As a state, Indiana does have a lot of basketball talent. And as long as you can get the top guys from Indiana, you can have a lot of success. And it only makes sense to start there. But then you do have to branch out. You're going to have to get, some high 4-star, hopefully a 5-star guy here and there who's outside the state. That's, I think that's a definite.
Keon Brooks, not getting him, I think, was a big blow to the program, to the staff.
That had to be disappointing. Yes, they put a lot of time and effort into that, and then to watch it slip away and go down south, that had to hurt, no doubt.
Yeah, not only do they lose a top recruit, they lose it to it's not a rival that they play anymore, but definitely a rival.
A unique rival there, a rival we don't play. That's funny, but it's true, and that had to be that was a tough loss, tough recruiting loss.
How does a program overcome something like that? Because that's also hurts from a PR standpoint when you don't land that guy that it looked like you had, who was a plum for your state.
Yeah, you just move on. I mean, I don't know that it was ever like Indiana's got him. There was a time when a lot of people thought Michigan State was going to get Keon. I would analogize it to you lost a ball game. You move on. I mean, that's all you can do. and you learn from it, and you would hope that you learn. And I think this is important for coaching staffs and recruiting. You got to have a plan B, a plan C. You got to have backup plans. I call it keeping a guy warm. You're not ready to take his commitment because you'd rather get Keon. But you keep him warm so that if things don't go right with Keon, you can get that next best thing. You just learn from it, and you try to become better at it, and you just move on to the next guy, just like you would if you lost a game during the season.
We're talking to the National Director of Basketball Scouting for 247 Sports, Jerry Meyer. And I know you don't follow only Indiana. You do everything on a national basis. But Indiana is one of those programs that catches a lot of national attention. What do they have to do to get back on that national level besides the obvious thing, simply win to get these kids?
I think that's the answer. For a large part, is they got to win. I think in the big scheme, it's not that complicated. It's just very difficult to execute because, it's kind of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg? What comes first, having recruiting success or winning on the court? Well, they both feed into each other. So, there's different ways it can happen. You can have that breakthrough and get that elite 5-star guy who can take your program to the next level. More often, though, it's you find guys that aren't necessarily 5 stars, but guys that are undervalued, guys that are underranked by people like me, guys that are under, in the cracks, under the radar that aren't even that well known, or players that fit together, create a synergy amongst themselves, or guys, you look for work ethic and guys that have athleticism and say work ethic, and we get them here, they're going to work and they're going to become better. You develop talent. So you got to try to hit it on all levels, try to get some ringers, find some under the radar guys, find some undervalued players, and then develop the heck out of them once you get them on campus. And then, start getting success on the court, and then that makes recruiting easier.
Trace Jackson Davis.
Easy to say, difficult to do.
Of course. Trace Jackson Davis is not one of those players. He's obviously a very well-known commodity. But Armaan Franklin or Anthony Leal, who they've offered, Trey Galloway that they've offered, where do you put those kind of guys?
Well, one, Trace Jackson Davis is a 5-star, on the lower edge of it, and expected to be a pro. Very good player. Your other guys, Leal and Galloway, you're talking probably like role players who are scorers, shooters for you, and you need that, but you can't have a whole team of that. Franklin, I think, solid, good player. He's a guy that you hope plays. I see he's 156 in our 247 Sports Composite, and that's his ranking. You're hoping he plays above that, that we undervalued him. That you're going to make him better. He's going to thrive in the context of your program. So those are serviceable, good guys, with Trace Jackson Davis being more, more elite status. You bring in a transfer like Joey Brunk with experience. Those are players you can win with. Look at that Michigan State team this year. Wasn't the most sexy lineup. Wasn't filled with guys that were McDonald's All-Americans. But, Izzo got the right mix. Those guys had a synergy about them, and that made them better than, the sum of their parts. And look at the successful season they had. I looked at Michigan State throughout the tournament. I was like, all right, surely they're going to falter here. They're going to falter here. They're just not that talented. And then I finally realized, well, they're a little more talented than I thought they were, but they just have a great team chemistry. They play great basketball. And, in a sense, they're overachieving.
Couldn't put it any better. Jerry Meyer, can't thank you enough for joining us. We greatly appreciate you as always.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Jerry Meyer, the Director of Basketball Scouting.
Me.
You bet anytime. How can we ever turn down the Evaluation Guru? Look forward to having you on again as often as we can, man. Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate you.
That's going to wrap it up for today. Indiana Sports Beat comes back tomorrow. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.
Social disease will then take your medicine.